Hello, my name is Marquess and I'm with Birthright Living Legacy. And I wanted to talk to you about touch points, the importance and the impact that they make. A lot of people overlook the idea of what a touch point is and why it's necessary. When you're talking to men, most of all, especially, you have to understand that society is coming down on men in such a hard way. And then whenever you're trying to introduce new topics, introduce new relationships, it's really hard for them to make that leap into trusting. And so touch points are opportunities that you get inside and outside the four walls at which you met. So if you have a colleague that you work with and you're trying to, introduce them to a new thing, or you want to invite them to a new thing, just know it's going to take roughly about 5 to 6 touch points outside of that area in order to make those things relevant. So whenever you're doing ministry or you're connecting with people, you have to set up opportunities for you to have touch points. Now, this could be running into each other at the supermarket. This could be showing up at a game with your kids together. It could be going to a birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese. It could be whatever it is that you need to do, but you have to be very intentional about the touch points that you create and the opportunities that you create. Because whenever you're serving together or you're, making something together, when you do those things, those are called touch points. It could be a phone call. It could also be a very intentional letter that you're writing to someone. And all of those things at a slow pace start to build trust. And whenever you're building trust with someone, it's very important because that impacts how much influence that you get to have into that person's life. So when you're speaking to someone, my very favorite quote is, "Nobody cares what you know until they know how much you care." And so when you have these touch points and you set them up to where you're being intentional about finding out what matters to the individual that you're trying to impact, when you say, "Hey, I want to know about you," and then you figure out ways to be able to connect, whether it be an intentional phone call, or you write a thank you card, or you realize that they're really into a thing and you just so happen to discover a way to be able to provide a gift or a reminder of that thing. Those touch points go a long way when it comes to building trust, because everything moves at the speed of trust. And if you're not able to build what they like to call that instant relationship, if you're not able to build that rapport with an individual and then be able to expound and build on that rapport by remembering their name, by being able to recall some of the things that are important to them, and then asking the questions, those are intentional touch points. And they're very important when it comes to ministry, when it comes to influence. It doesn't matter if you're mentoring children, if you're mentoring adults, or if you're really trying to be a good husband. Listening and then being able to have those intentional touch points to add value to your partner and the people that you're coming in contact with will go leaps and bounds over being able to regurgitate and or say the right thing all the time. It's just being able to get at the heart of the individual that you're trying to impact and influence. So giving these opportunities to create these touch points are one of the things that are going to be the most powerful tools that you'll have as you're doing your ministry, as you're influencing the rest of the world that you impact. Because sometimes you're the only Bible that other people get to read. And just think about the influence and the impact that you make as you're being intentional when you're moving forward. So as you're thinking about it, you should always make sure that as you are learning an individual, learn how to spell their name, how to pronounce it correctly. Those are intentional touch points. But then also being able to go above and beyond by finding out their interests, finding out what some of the things are that are causing them to think and where their frame of reference comes from. And then also being able to add value by finding out some of the interests and where they plan to go in the future. So that way you can be intentional about being able to make connections or being able to pass them on to people that will get them in the corridor of the things that they are interested in. So as we're talking about the touch points, just remember, know that you have to see or be intentional about being around a person in or around the four walls that you met in, but you have to have intentional touch points, whether it be a phone call, a thank you card, or just an email, just to remind them, hey, I was listening to you, I heard you, and what you said, or you as a person are valuable to me. Touch points go a long way in building trust, and there is no influence or impact if you do not have the trust of the individual that you're trying to give information to. It will just be water on a duck's back, and it will roll off. So if you want to increase your impact, if you want to be intentional about being an influencer in someone's life, whether it's your kids, your wife, or a perfect stranger, take time to build rapport by creating intentional touch points where you can let them know how valuable they are to you before they know what you have to say is so valuable. Thank you for your time.